Hey, what's up, guys? So, coming to you today with one of my new videos. It's a list I've been working on all of 2020. I was trying, COVID. The one thing about it is I sat back and started trying to work on new ideas to present to you guys, like new lists, different things that would be, entertaining and interesting for you guys to look into. And one of those is, and this is the thing I've been looking forward to doing the most. I did my top 5 pound for pounds. That was fun. But this one is the 12 most must-see fighters in all of boxing. I did 12 because there's 12 rounds. And I feel like there's 12 solid fighters that are must-see fighters in all of boxing. Now, I'm going to mention the honorable mentions, another 8 fighters, and run through those ones real quick. But again, guys, if you like my page, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like my video, give me a thumbs down. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I hope you guys like it. But, I mean, I definitely want to know if you like it or not, because I'm not the type of guy that just wants yes men and people that just give me thumbs up. If you don't like my video, cool, that's fine. Leave a comment. I'm happy to discuss it. But subscribe if you like it. Please like the video. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me get out there more. And I'm creeping my way to 100 subscribers. I'm almost there, and I want to get more and more and just keep moving up the chain because I really am passionate and love this stuff. So anyways, let's jump into now the top 12 most must-see fighters in all of boxing. So the first is, I want to discuss the 8 fighters that are on the bubble. They're on the bubble, and this year they could break into the top 12. It just really all depends. They are highly viewed fighters, but they didn't make my top 12. So, and my top 12 is in no particular order. It's just the 12 most must-see fighters. Anyways, let's look at the guys that didn't make the top 12 and run through them real quick, just real fast. First of those is Shakur Stevenson, the undefeated super featherweight, former featherweight champion. This kid is on the rise, and he's got a good following. He fights for Top Rank in ESPN, and the more times he gets out there, Top Rank is putting a lot into him. He gets a lot of views when he fights on ESPN, and he is starting to main event ESPN cards. He's been doing that for his last 2 or 3 fights now. And he's just getting out there more and more and more. And the guy he's a star in the making, and I keep referring to him as the future of boxing. I think there's a lot of good fighters on the rise, but I think Shakur Stevenson is going to be, very good chance of being your pound for pound king one day. So, so I'm definitely high on him, and you definitely want to check him out when he fights. And his next fight's supposed to be against he's in line to fight the winner of Jamel Herring and Carl Frampton that's taking place in February. I think there's a good chance he probably comes back and stays busy prior to that, and then he's getting his big shot after. So by the end of the year, Stevenson could very well be one of your most must-see fighters in the sport. Next up is Ryan Garcia, lightweight, current interim champion, undefeated. This kid has a big following, and he's very young, but I didn't realize until he signed that fight with Luke Campbell and how much attention that fight got and how big it was. I knew it was a big fight, but man, Ryan really has a big following, and he really has a lot of support. Right now, you can see him with Golden Boy and fighting on DAZN, and I really doubt he's going to take a back seat and fight on any more undercards. This kid is legit. He's very good, and he's going to headline. He's definitely a headliner, so he's on the bubble. I like him a lot. Other divisions. Let me see. So let's look at some of the welterweights now. There's 3 welterweights that I think are on this list are on the bubble, and they're all known names. First up, former 2-time champion Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter headlines everything now. He's fought on pay-per-views, but I don't think Porter is like the top 12. I don't think he has the pool of the top 12, but Porter's very good, and he is in my opinion, a must-see fighter. but he's not one of the 12 most must-see fighters. But Porter, his style, all action, he's a grinder, he comes straight forward, and he brawls. Very, very good, and, he does have a following. Also, Keith One-Time Thurman. This guy, if he wasn't so inactive, he would be on this list of most must-see fighters for sure, because he did have a following, and he was one of these guys at some point, but he's been so inactive since 2017 when he beat Danny Garcia. We're going on 4 years now. He's only fought 3 times, and he beat Lopez, and he lost to Pacquiao. And the third time was the fight with Danny Garcia 3 years ago. So if you're including that, from March of this year, 21, dating back to March of 17, once we hit March of this year, he's only going to have fought 2 times since that fight with Danny Garcia in 2017. So, if he was more active, then I would, Keith Thurman would definitely be on this list. But for now, he's not. But Thurman still does have a good following, and he fights for the PBC and Showtime Fox, so you can see him on those. Next up, Danny Garcia. Danny's got a great following. He really does, and people are going to tune in to watch Danny Garcia. He's not one of my top 12, but he's close, and he is still a widely viewed fighter. Headlines, when he's not, he helps headline cards with Spence, Porter, Thurman. He's fought them all, but he's definitely a headliner on Showtime or Fox with the PBC. Okay, the next 2 guys are also PBC fighters, and I'm going to discuss them together, and they are the Charlo twins, Jermell and Jermall Charlo. These guys are probably the closest to making it, and if we're talking them as, fighting on the same card, if they fight on the same card like they did in September, then I would consider them one of the top 12 most must-see in all the sports, because it's probably going to be a pay-per-view, and Al Heyman will stack the undercard like he did in September, and that was great. That was an awesome pay-per-view. It had 6 fights on it. I mean, it was really stacked, and these 2 guys co-headlined the whole pay-per-view, and it was a long one, but individually they're headliners on Showtime or Fox. They're not going to headline. As of right now, they're not pay-per-view fighters, and they're not quite in my top 12, but man, they are close, because the Charlos are must-see to me, and you should definitely start checking them out more and more, because they're getting a big following and becoming pretty big names. And that's it for the guys that didn't make, that are on the bubble. Now let's start with the 12 most must-see fighters in all of boxing, in no particular order. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. In terms of, again, this is not ranking, this is not any particular order, but you know what, I'm just going to start heavier divisions. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury, the WBC heavyweight champion. Tyson Fury is tied in with Top Rank and ESPN, and he's a pay-per-view guy. Every time Fury fights going forward, in my opinion, unless he's fighting a complete nobody, and you get to see him on ESPN Plus, which is $4.99 subscription, or ESPN, regular ESPN, which is free, Fury, unless he fights one of those guys, he's a pay-per-view guy. And next up, he's got Anthony Joshua, most likely. You can almost count on that. Their fight is pretty damn close to being signed, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a joint thing with DAZN and how to work this. But ESPN, if he fights on pay-per-view, those are probably $70 to $80. And if he fights if it's ESPN Plus, without the pay-per-view, it's $4.99 a month. And DAZN, if he's working with Anthony Joshua, if you want to see his next fight, if it's going through DAZN, that's $20 a month to sign up for DAZN. And I think it's actually cheaper if you sign up for the whole year. I think it's $108 if you sign up for the whole year. So they give you a pretty good discount there. So that's it. That's Tyson Fury. Next up is Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a huge, huge draw, especially in the United Kingdom and stuff, but he's a big name in the United States too. He's becoming more well-known. If anything, his win over Klitschko a few years ago helped him out a lot with U.S. fans. That was a huge win and a huge fight. But also his fights with Andy Ruiz helped him out a lot, because Ruiz being the first Mexican Mexican heavyweight champion really helped. But yeah, Anthony Joshua's got a huge following. He fights for Matchroom and Eddie Hearn and is always main events, DAZN cards. Next up, he's got Tyson Fury, most likely, for the undisputed heavyweight title. And if you're going to sign up, again, if you're signing up for DAZN, it's $108 to sign up for a whole year, or you're looking at $19.99 a month to sign up and get DAZN. So that's, for Anthony Joshua, if you want to see him. But he's a very entertaining heavyweight. He has a lot of power, very good skill. I liken him to a Lennox Lewis in terms of style and the way he finishes fights and stuff. But, a lot of power and very entertaining fighter right here, and you don't want to miss him fight. Next up, Deontay Wilder. I mean, Wilder's been headlining Showtime and Fox cards for the last, 7-8 years, it seems like. The guy has insane power, maybe the best power I've ever seen. And he knocks guys out cold and hurts people. And he's an American. He fights for the PBC. He's a pay-per-view guy now. His last 2 fights have been on pay-per-view with Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz. Both rematches right there. Other than that, he headlines Showtime or Fox cards if the fights are lower level. But yeah, Deontay Wilder is absolutely must-see television. I mean, the guy lays people out for the most part, and if not, the threat of him laying people out really makes him a huge draw. So definitely want to check out the former heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder. Also, Canelo Alvarez, the pound-for-pound king, current unified super middleweight champion. This guy is the biggest draw in boxing right now. Right now, he does not have a set contract. He signed a 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and his next 2 fights will be on DAZN, where he's been fighting. Again, DAZN is $20 a month if you only want to sign up for a month or go a month at a time, or you can sign up for the whole year and it's $108. But if you want to watch Canelo's next 2 fights, you're going to have to sign up in February, because he's taking on Avni Yildirim in February, and then he's in May he's going to fight on DAZN again. You do not want to miss Canelo Alvarez fight. He is the pound-for-pound best in the world right now. He is very talented, very good, and he is must-see for sure, and he's the biggest draw in all of boxing right now, no questions asked. Outside of the heavyweights fighting each other, if we're talking about just a single fighter and a draw, it's Canelo Alvarez. You cannot miss him fight. He is very talented, very good, and he is must-see TV for sure. Next up is Triple G Gennady Golovkin. Triple G is currently a middleweight champion again. He's a 2-time middleweight champ overall, former unified middleweight champ, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in all of boxing. And absolutely, Triple G is must-see TV. I mean, DAZN signed Triple G to a fat contract. It was, I'm sorry guys, I'm having trouble with my camera here. It just won't seem to stay in place in its holder. Triple G signed a $16+ million contract for 6 fights. $100 million contract for 6 fights, which guarantees him over $16 million per fight. If that's not must-see TV, I don't know what is. Again, he fights for DAZN. And again, that's $20 a month, and it's $108 for the whole year, if you want to sign up for a year. But Triple G is must-see. This guy is a big draw. He's entertaining. He's a great combination of a boxer-puncher. And, the guy gets hit now because he's a little bit older. So, definitely must-see TV, though. This guy lays people out. He hurts people. He busts them up. He breaks them down. And he's been in some big-time fights. So, you definitely want to see Triple G. Must-see absolutely all the way. Next up, Errol Spence Jr., the unified welterweight champion of the world. I mean, Errol Spence has been headlining, I believe he's headlined, I want to say 3 consecutive pay-per-view cards for Fox or Showtime. He fought Mikey Garcia in March of 2019. He fought Sean Porter in September of 2019. And then last year in December of 2020, he took on Danny Garcia. So Errol Spence is on that level. I'm not sure if every time he fights, unless he faces guys on that level, I'm not sure if he's pay-per-view every time yet, but he's right there. I mean, I'd be very surprised if Al Heyman and the PBC didn't push for him to compete on pay-per-view every time. Errol Spence is absolutely must-see TV. He is a great boxer and throws hard enough shots to really keep people honest, and you definitely want to see him fight on the PBC. That's Fox or Showtime, and again, lately it's been all pay-per-view for this guy. So, definitely must-see, and you definitely got to check him out. Very, very good. Next up is the undefeated WBO welterweight champion, Terrence Bud Crawford. No matter what you hear about Crawford, this guy is must-see TV. Bob Arum had to pay Crawford crazy amounts of money and everything, and he gets a shitload of views on ESPN. I don't think he's really graduated to pay-per-view yet, but I really think if he had the proper matchups like Errol Spence in his last 3 fights, if Crawford was getting the same kind of opposition, he'd be fighting on pay-per-view. It's just that simple. They tried him on pay-per-view a few years ago. I don't think they were quite ready. Plus, his opponent, Victor Postol, wasn't a credible opponent for pay-per-view. But Crawford is right along those lines. He makes a lot of money per fight, and he's very, very good. And currently, he's fighting for ESPN and Top Rank. His next fight probably going to be on free ESPN or ESPN Plus, which is only $4.99 a month. But I really think we're going to see Crawford by the end of the year fighting for the PBC and Showtime and Fox and taking on all those guys with the PBC. And he will be right on the verge of pay-per-view depending on who he fights. And I don't think he's going to waste his time and fight scrubs. He's been waiting around for the big names for a few years now, and he's deserving of them. So, yeah, Terrence Crawford definitely must-see TV. Very, very good. Okay, next up is the Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao. That's still a welterweight champion right now, and he's still a pay-per-view fighter. I mean, Pacquiao fights, it's going to be on pay-per-view. You can count on it. I don't think he is tied in with any particular promotion right now. I know he originally signed a 3-fight deal with the PBC, but he only fought Broner and Thurman, and he hasn't fought since. So I'm not sure if his next fight has to be with the PBC or not. I know they're contemplating going over to one of the Arab countries for him to fight, but he's also talking about fighting Conor McGregor, and I know the UFC has ties with ESPN now, so that would probably be ESPN pay-per-view if that fight comes off, but we got to see, because Pacquiao is absolutely, even at 42 years old, must-see TV. The guy is still very entertaining, still throws a lot of punches. He could still beat most of the younger guys. I mean, outside of Spence and Crawford at welterweight, I don't think anybody else beats him. So he's still very good, and he's still must-see TV, and you definitely got to see the Pac-Man fight, because he might only have 1 or 2 more fights left in him, and I hope he doesn't waste his time and fight Conor McGregor in one of them and go for the money, but he might only have 1 or 2 left, and we'll see, and you're definitely going to want to see him fight. Next up is Teofimo Lopez, the undisputed lightweight champion. Definitely has emerged onto the scene, probably the latest addition to this, following his win in October over Vasily Lomachenko. I didn't realize the following that Lopez had until I saw my videos like this. I did a breakdown video on Lomachenko Lopez. It was a big fight, and it was main evented in ESPN, and if it wasn't coronavirus, that fight would have been on pay-per-view, because Lomachenko is such a big name, and Lopez is a name on the rise. But I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, at the following that Lopez has, because that video that I did on Lomachenko and Lopez, that did over 1,000 views. Now, I've had a couple videos now that have done, I think one did maybe 600 that had to do with Pacquiao, I believe. But I've never, ever come close to 1,000. And I hit over 1,000 views for Lomachenko Lopez, the breakdown video. So that shows me a couple things, how big Lomachenko is and how big Lopez is. I mean, that's huge. So he's got a huge following, and definitely, deserves to be on this list, because his style, his power, he's young, he talks shit, the way he does the Fortnite dances and does the somersault or whatever you call that in the ring. I mean, this dude is the flip is real deal. He's very talented, and he's got all that bravado, and definitely arrogant as fuck. And he's definitely must-see TV. He's fighting for Top Rank in ESPN. Not sure if his next fight against George Kambosos is on pay-per-view, but you might have to check him out on ESPN Plus, $4.99 a month, or free ESPN, and that'll be a treat. And he will definitely headline and bring in a lot of views that way, and a lot of money, because ESPN has the advertising dollars to be able to make up for the pay-per-view revenue and stuff like that. So that's it on him. Next up is Vasily Lomachenko. Lomachenko, this guy has a huge following. Two-time Olympic gold medalist. For a Ukrainian fighter that has a tough name to pronounce, this guy has a huge following, and that shows you the impact he's made already in the short time. He fights for ESPN and Top Rank, and he has been dominating the last few years. He's one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in boxing. He had that huge fight with Lopez that I just talked about, that, you know, that video I did about him, over 1,000 views. You know, I mean, this guy is the real deal. He's one of the pound-for-pound best, and he's deserving, you know, of being on this list for sure. He's definitely must-see TV. You do not want to miss him fight. He's got great skill, maybe the most talented fighter I've ever seen, and he also likes to mix it up, and he's got power. He's got power in spots, and his angles and his timing are impeccable, and he can definitely hurt people badly. So I've seen it happen multiple times with him. Definitely must-see TV. Next is the undefeated Gervonta Davis, the 130-pound champion right now. I mean, Davis, he proved he was must-see TV in his last fight against Leo Santa Cruz, that was put on Showtime pay-per-view, and that was Davis's first time on pay-per-view. He got the opponent in Santa Cruz that sold the fight with him. They had a good card, and he went out and had a spectacular finish in that fight. That shows you he's going to step up for the big fights and really perform. And that was just impressive what he did with that win. But, you know, we've been watching for a while now. He's been a main event guy on Showtime and Fox, and really been at the top, you know, a fast rising star in boxing. And, yeah, you know, he deserves to be on this list based on his last performance, especially. He, you know, did well for pay-per-view. And I don't know if he's going to be pay-per-view every time, but I know Mayweather's going to give him a big push. And, you know, he's definitely going to headline a lot of Showtime and Fox cards. He's a on the verge pay-per-view guy, but he's very, very talented, very good. You don't want to miss him. And finally, the last guy, I really had to think about this. He just beat out the Charlo twins, Mikey Garcia. This guy gets forgotten since the loss to Errol Spence. You know, he moved up, he took a chance. They shared a pay-per-view, though. That shows you that Mikey's got a big name. And Mikey must have a big name because Manny Pacquiao is considering him as his next opponent, you know? There's a reason for that. Manny Pacquiao is not going to consider some scrub for his next opponent, some nobody, no name. Mikey has a chance of beating Pacquiao with his skill. He's a great boxer-puncher. He headlined a DAZN card in his last fight against Jesse Vargas. I personally feel he's a promotional free agent right now, and he's signing one deal at a time. But Mikey is very good and can fight whoever he wants, and he has a big fan base, and people really enjoy watching him fight. And he's been a big name for a few years now. And, you know, to me, it's arguable, but he's right on that bubble of must-see TV. And I think he's just a slightly ahead of some of the other guys. And he stays more active than some of the other guys. But this guy is definitely must-see TV. Very good fighter. A great boxer-puncher combination. Good power. Good skill. And you don't want to miss him fight. So I really enjoyed doing this, guys. Please, give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Comment, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate any of it. And I got much love for you guys. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this, because these guys are the guys that I'm going to be doing my videos on when I do like I did the Canelo versus Yildirim is on video yesterday. I do my is on videos. I do my breakdown videos a few weeks before the fight. And then after the fight, I do my aftermath videos discussing what the fight, how it went, and what it did for boxing and the fighters individually. So, you know, that's my top 12. Run through again: Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder from the heavyweight division, Canelo Alvarez, Triple G from super middleweight and middleweight, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, and the Pac-Man Manny Pacquiao from welterweight, and actually Mikey Garcia in that mix. Teofimo Lopez, Vasily Lomachenko, and Gervonta Davis from lightweight and junior lightweight. So definitely don't want to miss these guys, and make sure you keep checking them out. Make sure you keep checking out my videos. I'd appreciate it. That's True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.